Today we study the period.
Teacher, what is period?
What comes to your mind when you see this symbol?
Maybe the stop of the sentence.
Yes, for mostly the people just think the period is just a punctuation mark. But today I want to teach you something more about the grammar. The period can use in the text, in the new generations, and also the literatures. Lots of things needs the period. Even the period can represent the time. So let's begin.
Hello everyone, my name is Mickey Lin, and today I'm going to talk about something very small but very powerful. The period. You see it every day, it's end your sentence. But what if I told you it's also affect your tone, emotions, and even how people see you online? So now let's discover how this tiny dot carries more weight than we think. So first is the introductions. Let's begin with the simple questions. What comes to your mind when you see this symbol, the period? Yes, for many, it's just a punctuation mark, but in realities, it plays many roles. In grammar, it gives structures. In texting, it changes the mood. In literatures, it builds emotions. And in the cultures, it reflects how we communicate. This presentation is about the secret life of the period beyond the grammar. Okay, and the second is a brief history of the period. So, where did the period come from? The most earliest versions of it goes back to the ancient Greece around the 3 centuries. A librarian named Stephanes invented a system of dots to help people read aloud. One of those dots, the one placed highest, was called the periodo titulus, that becomes the period we use today. And later, it was adopted by Latin text and eventually become the part of the modern punctuation systems. Even 2,000 years ago, people already know that a dot could help shape meanings. And a quick, interesting thing is, in the Renaissance, the period becomes more popular because at that times, the merchants, they need to use the period to make the standardize for the newspaper and for other things and helping people to read. And this is the history about the period. In grammar, the period does exactly what you expect. It's end a sentence. But it also showed up in abbreviations like dr dot and etc dot. And it separates whole numbers from decimals like 3.14. And it appears in web adjust like www.mickeylin.com. And it's give a writing a clear from structures. That's why we call it terminal punctuations, because it shows that something is complex. Now let's move into the modern life, texting. If you send someone a message that said okay, it's neutral, right? But if you send an okay with a period, people often think you are angry or annoying. This has become especially common with younger people, Generation Z. They often avoid period in the message because they feel too normal or cold. And this is amazing how a little dot can carry so much emotions. On the platform like Instagram, Twitter, and the TikTok, the punctuation helps shape identity and tone. A period at the end of the post can make it sound formal, serious, or even passive-aggressively. And many people drop the period on purpose to sound more friendly, relaxed, and relatable. For example, to compare I'm tired with the period and I'm tired without the period. The first one with the period, it sounds final and maybe dramatic. And the second one, I'm tired without the period, is feel casual, chill, and more, right? So the social media has changed not just what we say, but how we say it. Now, let's look at how authors used the period in writings. Take the Hemingway. He is the famous for short, direct sentence, each one ending with a period. This gives him story powers and tensions. And now, let's compare with the Virginia Woolf, her sentences are long and flowing with fewer periods. Her style feels dreamily and poetic. Writer used the period like a musical note to skip R or slow down the random of the page. The period is different in the different countries. So the period in English, they use the dot, but in Chinese and the Japanese, it's just a small circle like this in the graph. And in French, there's often a space before the punctuation marks. And here's an example like bonjour, and then it's a space, and then it's the punctuation. In some cultures, using a lot of punctuation might seem dramatic or rude. So the way we use the period can reflect our cultures, our language, and even our personalities. We will talk about how the period ends the sentence, change the tone, and even reflect the cultures. But did you know the word period also plays an important role in how we talk about time? In English, a period often means a defined block of a time. For example, we said a class period is 45 minutes long, and the Renaissance was a period of a great culture. And she stayed in Canada for a short period. Just like writing, a period is a time mark, a beginning and the end. It gives a structure to something that might otherwise feel messy or endless. And in life, we often don't know a period has end until we look back and realize it was a chapters, a phase, or a story. And that's what makes the period such a powerful word. It's organized time and meaning. In grammar, it's an assault. In life, it's close as seasons. And in both, it helps us pace, reflect, and move forward. So the next time you heard someone say, that was a tough period, you should remember that. That little word holds space for pain, for growth, for history, and eventually for closures. As we come to the end of these presentations, it's only fitting that we talk about the ending. The period might be the smallest mark in language, just one little dot. But it's also one of the most powerful. It gives grammar structures, it gives story randoms, it gives text emotions. And in the way we speak, write, and feel, it reflects who we are and how we relate to others. From ancient Greece, where Stephanie created the first punctuation systems, to classic literatures, where Hemingway used it like sword, a wolf used it like a sign, to TikTok and the texting, where young people decide whether to use or drop it based on emotions. The period has survived, evolved, and adapt. And maybe that's the most powerful things about it. It's quiet, it doesn't shout, but end with intentions. More than a full stop, the period mark the random of our time, the grammar feeling, and evolving tones. So next time you tap a period at the end of a sentence, ask yourself, are you finishing something or are you making a point? And that's all. Thank you. And finally, I prepare a Kahoot games for you guys. If you want to have a better understanding about the period, you can use the Kahoot.com and use the code upper the Kahoot, and you can start to have a games about the period. It's help you to improve your understanding. And this is the end of my presentations. And if you have any questions, you can write the comments, and I will give you the answers. And that's all. Thank you.